Okay, and a minute is up. Okay, so I'm gonna get us started. Very, very nice to see you all. Thank you so much for joining the first Builders Lounge session. This is something that we are launching new here at Neo Agent. My name is Maria Laura. I'm part of the customer success and support team. This is our first session. Obviously, we kind of have some format already decided, but we're going to be seeking feedback. We want to make sure that we're bringing topics that matter to you, Neo users, builders, what automations are you looking to build, use cases. So this first session is kind of like to get us started, but like I said, we want to know what you want to see. We want to know who you would like to talk. Our main objective is to do kind of live demos and make sure. For today, we have a couple guests that are going to talk a little bit about what they're doing with Neo. We also have some people internally, so you can kind of like put a face to whoever you're dealing with in the chat. I know we're a big team here at Neo, so like I said, first session, really happy to have this new webinar launch, and looking forward to your questions and your feedback after the session to kind of start shaping the session as we move forward. Awesome. Today, like I said, we're going to start with pretty much Nick. I know this has been a big conversation that Ryan and I that talk to customers a lot. They want to know how Neo works, how it was built. There's a lot of questions about how are agents making decisions in the backend and kind of like more infrastructure. So obviously I brought Nick. He is part of the engineering and the CEO, so he's going to be the best person to kind of answer those questions. Then we have Ryan from my team. He is automation engineer here at Neo. He is going to feature the new, he's going to do a demo of the new feature, which are chat agents. So he built something, he's going to walk you through. Please be patient because he's having an internet issue day and it's the worst day to have it. So, so just everything here will be recorded, and especially the agent that Ryan is going to demo, we are going to share so you can have an idea. So that is what we want to kind of spotlight this session is how chat agents work, which they were released a couple weeks ago. Then we have Joel from Fusion Tech. He's going to kind of share his experience with Neo. Then we have TJ as well. And at the end, just a Q&A. I know everybody wants to get to know each other and ask questions. So that's pretty much it. I am going to get you started with Nick. Nick, do you want to take it away?
Thanks, Maria. Lovely to see lots of familiar faces, and we're probably interact on the chat every day, but it's good to see you guys in the Teams calls. I know we have Q&A at the end, but honestly, if there's any questions that pop up and you just want to interact, this is the lounge to interact with. So just interrupt anyone. If you have any burning questions, either put your hand up or it's okay. We don't need to raise the hand here. You can just unmute and just butt in. That's okay. It's allowed here. But yeah, I will be super brief and quick. Just do a quick primer on what's happened, like just a quick primer on the Neo Agent platform itself. And let me just share my screen quickly. Let me know if you guys can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So like quick primer on where Neo sits in the context of your entire stack. And one really important thing is I think Neo today, and one thing we do a super bad job of ourselves is we do release and move stuff. We do release new things very quickly into the platform. And I think we do a pretty bad job of telling our partners the new stuff that you can unlock with Neo today. And we are really, Neo used to be focused on triaging and dispatching, but in reality today, it does much more than that. So it's able to interact with the RMM, it's able to interact with external APIs, it's able to interact with your end clients, Microsoft tenants to really like remediate those service requests end to end, like user onboarding, offboarding, mailbox provisioning. Like it's really designed to be a technician that sits on your service desk and does real work end to end. And it sits at the center of your stack. So it's able to do pretty much everything in the typical PSA you would use, whether it's ConnectWise, Autotask, or Halo. Read and write documentation. I know we actually only until recently allowed Neo to start writing back to documentation. Again, not many people today know that Neo can do this. Neo can even author its own SOPs. I know TJ has an amazing use case for this, so I don't know if he wanted to touch on it, but Neo does that today. Neo can also query the live web. So as Neo is working tickets, it has its own ability to query the web to gather more information on potential outages that could be widespread. And again, it can interact with the RMM to remediate endpoints. It can run scripts. It looks at a lot of information to be able to work tickets from start to finish. It can even do some really advanced things. So if you manage a lot of hybrid or on-prem Active Directory instances for your clients, Neo can also run its own custom PowerShell on endpoints on the domain controller itself. So if you have an RMM agent that's running on a domain controller, Neo can execute its own custom PowerShell to pretty much do everything in Active Directory on-prem. And Neo literally writes its own PowerShell to execute a bunch of operations. You can also hook up Neo to external APIs. So if you have a complex user onboarding workflow where you need to provision access to a user in various external systems, you can give the agents access to APIs to make those calls. And of course, for M365, we can, as of today, we can read and write across every Graph API resource in Microsoft. So another way of saying that is we could do pretty much anything across an M365 tenant, especially in Enter ID. And again, for on-prem instances, we can execute our own custom PowerShell to solve complex operations. So that's where Neo sits today. Neo's really meant to be an intelligent system. It's not meant to feel like just another automation tool. It is meant to reason over tickets and use the tools at its disposal to work this ticket end to end. And more partners are trusting Neo to run on their service desk every single month. This time last year, Neo was touching about 137,000 unique tickets a month. And now Neo is touching close to 500,000 tickets a month. And that is growing every single month. So, and I would say like a lot of partners do see Neo, again, which is our fault, as a triage and dispatch tool. But again, it does go beyond that. And if you do want to start, if you feel like you're only using Neo for triage and dispatch today, and you feel like you want to go beyond that and get Neo to do some more useful work, then Maria and Ryan in the chat are the two best people to speak to help you get wrapped up. That you can talk to about some of the problems that you face and that you want automated. I can really help unlock some super useful use cases for you on your service desk today. But that's a super brief overview from me. Maria has a hand up for questions, but again, happy to take any other questions anyone has.
I was going to follow up on a couple of questions on the chat. So one of the question is, what LLM is being used by Neo?
Yes, so we use the Azure OpenAI under the hood. So the main LLM we use is GPT 5.6. We always use frontier models. The thing that makes Neo work is not the model. There's a lot of context engineering we do under the hood to make sure that Neo, we provide the models under the hood with all the right context to make the next possible decision. And this includes everything from ticket metadata, ticket content, past tickets given a certain ticket, information from the RMM that could be useful, information from docs. We provide and orchestrate a lot of context to make sure that the model is able to make the next best decision, which is either to respond to a customer to gather more information, execute the right script, etc.
The other question is there a plan for a multi-chat agent in Teams channel based on technician roles or business roles?
A multi-chat agent. I'm not sure I
Do
fully
you want me
understand
to
what that
surf on
means.
this, Nikhil?
Yes,
Or?
yes, go for it.
Because right now you have the only options that you have is the single chat agent linked to the Teams and the tenant and your own tenant for internal purposes. And based on, I would say, employees' roles, some needs to have access to contracts or ask. So everything now resides inside Teams. So by leveraging chat agents, with Neo, it's a very powerful tool because you could interact with IT Glue, you could interact with your RMM, your PSA, and everything. You could ask for documentation or information or ask for anything inside your RMM. But based on that, some people's are salespeople, some people's are technical. So right now the problem is that it's an all or nothing kind of approach. For example, you could ask, please calculate all the space used by that specific server, that customer, or could you give me my ESXiOs or whatever, so you could leverage. It's a very powerful tool, but right now on Teams, you need to dial into the application to select the proper chat agent that you have access to.
Yeah, so is your question, let's say you have one chat agent, which has read or write access across, let's say, the RMM. But you have two people, you have a technician and you have a salesperson, and you don't want the salesperson to be able to execute scripts in the RMM. Is that?
Exactly, or you don't want the technician to have access to contract or financial information. So, and right now you can only have one complete that has access to all the different authorization inside the agent. So
You can set up multiple agents which have different permissions. So you can set up a sales agent.
yes,
which
but
has...
not in Teams. But not in Teams. You could only hook it up via one with Teams. Samuel is saying yes, but
I've done it. I've got multiple channels, and each channel points to a different agent, and then I create multiple Teams apps that each point to that channel, and so you can definitely do that. I can show you how.
Because it was not supported a couple, I would say, days ago, so it moves fast. So maybe it's new. So
a good way to
it's definitely supporting.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, Samuel and Mark, I can definitely make sure that you guys are connected, but also for everybody here.
We're already connected, so.
Never mind.
They're friends. Mark,
Never mind.
Samuel and Steve are all friends.
To make sure that everybody's also on Discord in case you are not connected, you can also use Discord to kind of like drop ideas, share different templates, and kind of like share the rest of any questions.
Okay, we're going to take that offline, not take more time of the meeting.
Thank you. Any other questions, anything before we move to the demo? No? Okay, well, I think Ryan, it's your time, buddy. So Ryan is going to, like I said, demo a chat agent, and kind of like we'll share via Discord as well the template that he kind of like built for this specific demo. Ryan, are you there? Okay, so I think he went out. He's having internet issues. We'll just get Joel, do you mind jumping in and kind of like taking Ryan's spot, and we'll go back to Ryan?
Yeah.
Are you good?
Yep. Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. Hey everyone. The item that I wanted to bring up today, I was really struggling with like which of the agents that we use I wanted to share. I think the reason that we started with Neo is to get just-in-time info for our teams. I think like most MSPs, we have a lot of info in a lot of different places. We've got it in tickets, we've got it in SharePoint for documents, we've got it in IT Glue, we've got it pretty much everywhere. And that our team just rarely seems to look up that information. So the bread and butter that we originally came to Neo for was the enrichment agent, which is really just taking all that information and putting it in and giving an action plan. So that was our original genesis. But hopefully everybody's doing that. That's not super exciting. Let's talk about something different here. What I would say Neo is really for is using what are people not great at? People aren't very good at boring, repetitive, uncertain tasks. And Neo is great at it. So in this case, I want to talk about project to ticket correlation. And I'm going to share my screen here. That should be the one. All right, let me know if that's working for everybody.
Yep.
Got me, okay, perfect. Okay, so what this is, we have about 100 people on the team. And so we've got a lot of projects going at any given time. And that's a separate department from the service desk. And so what ends up happening is that tickets come in for projects and the service team is not aware of what's going on. We have lots of ways that we communicate to the service desk from the projects team. So we send out, there's a daily message that goes out that says like open projects, active things happening today. There's stand-up meetings that happen periodically where we review things that are happening for that week. So lots of different ways of communication, but not everybody's there, not everybody reads it, not everybody pays attention, and then of course not everybody makes that correlation. And so what we're trying to do here is prevent those. We don't want people working on tickets when there's an open project that's related to it, and hopefully this is obvious as to why, but a couple of quick examples. If we're doing a firewall swap and there's a VPN or some other access for that location, if the client, the outside users are not aware of that connection being down, we'll frequently get tickets saying, hey, my VPN broke. Then the service desk goes to try to troubleshoot a VPN, which of course is not going to work. SharePoint migrations, which we do quite a few of, when it gets cut over, there's frequently questions of like, I'm missing a drive, the E drive or whatever for a share in the network, or where are my files, or why can I not save to this location anymore, depending on how that migration is handled. But those tickets typically come in, and then again, somebody's trying to troubleshoot them. And then of course, even just something like a simple server upgrade, when one server goes away, another one comes in, and these can be delayed a little bit. But lots of stuff can break, of course, anything from DNS to just there's a new name for some sort of a service in the environment. So we want people to not be working on those. We want to make sure that they correlate them and they either let the client know the quick fix or they just pause it because there's nothing that can be done until the project is done that day. So enter the ticket to project correlation finder. This particular agent, it works on tickets that come in. I have it set to manual. This is just the demo version, so I just have it turned off. But basically, it's just looking at brand new tickets when they come in, and it's only coming for me into 2 specific queues. And I have that set that way because one thing that we try to do, and you can see this at the top, is manage credits because we burn a decent amount. And so we got to make sure that things are looking at the right places and we're not casting too wide of a net. So we assume that most of these are going to come in either to the centralized services where all of alerts and everything like that come in, because the same thing is true there. If somebody forgets to, put in a maintenance window, or on the level 1 support queue where clients, if they email in or that sort of thing, that's where they'll land. So that's the only thing that we're really looking at. So this is, as far as filters go, this is about as simple as it gets for me. On the instructions, so you're welcome to read these, steal them, message me later. I'll give you anything that you need from this, but let me just run through this really quick. It's fairly straightforward. So effectively, when a ticket comes in, we are just looking at the description of that ticket, the title, et cetera, all the normal stuff, then going back and looking at what the open project list is for that client. It's also important to know what is the status of that project. For example, recently I started getting a bunch because I had a project that had just kicked off, but 0 work had been done. And I started getting a bunch of correlations that it couldn't be correlated because that hasn't started yet. So we had to do that. We have this concept of related versus uncertain. And that's really important for the next step because we don't want to blow people up with notifications. So we make sure that we are basically giving a confidence level for it. And what it's going to do is when it looks at the ticket and decides whether or not there's something that it's related to, it then puts a note in the ticket, which is for the technician to see that so that they can action that and pause or look at the project or talk to the project team member. But the other thing that it does is messages it to the project manager and the service desk manager in Teams if it thinks that it has an actual related ticket. And that's just to get that. Technicians, again, I think I just said they're not very good about doing the boring, repetitive tasks, right? So they do read notes, but let's be honest, not as much as we'd like them to. So we want to make sure that the people who are responsible for that can head things off. On the project manager side, we want to make sure that they're aware because they should be able to tell, maybe somebody forgot to set a maintenance window, physically set it. Who knows? There could be something else. There is fallout that they're not aware of. So we want them to be aware so that they can coordinate with the client, coordinate with the project engineer, whoever the case may be. And the service desk manager, because we would like them to, if there is a flood of things coming in for a project, we want them to be able to help get their team aware of that and not grabbing all those tickets. So it helps to have both of them. And I love the ability to put it into Teams. I put it into a channel, shameless plug that I would love to be able to natively put it into a channel, not email, but I put it into a channel because that way people have that much quicker. The managers certainly are not looking at tickets and I want them to be able to see it. And my organization pretty much lives in Teams. So that's where I choose to pop that up. So, and then I think that's, see if there's anything else that's really relevant in here. That's really the crux of it. Put it in the ticket to let the technician know, put it into Teams to let the managers know and take action on it. And that's basically the whole thing. This is a pretty straightforward one, like I said, and this one's not taking action on those tickets, not doing anything like that. But this is an extremely useful one for us. The amount of time that we have burned over the years working tickets that are not solvable is more than I can really quantify. In just the last few weeks, I actually meant to go pull some hard numbers on this and I didn't have a chance to do it because I was traveling last week. So I apologize. But we catch project tickets basically daily. And it's hard to quantify how much time you saved when you don't have somebody doing the work, but it is a significant number of hours. And if we translate those hours to dollars and then factor those out over the course of a year, it becomes a very significant impact to the enterprise value of our organization. And that's ultimately where Neo comes in for us, is making sure that our team is being as efficient as possible and solving the actual problems that our client has, which this is not. So I'm going to stop sharing. I am, Maria.
I do have a question. I think
Okay.
something that is very common around Neo users is also like how to write prompts. Any recommendations or ideas? Because I saw your structure is very thorough. You kind of knew the objective and how to break it down. Any advice or recommendations how to get to be that thorough?
First of all, make sure that you have more than one good person on your team, because it is a little bit time consuming. I'm going to be honest. We actually write it. So we go through many iterations. This one's had quite a few, but there's others that are even significantly more detailed. But basically, we write the concept into another AI. I'm sorry. And then copy it back in. And we use a standard format for it so that it always has the same thing. And they're correct me if I'm wrong, is Ryan back in here? There's now an official, what do you guys call it, a style guide? for the instructions, and I would definitely recommend that people use that. And you want to make sure that you're writing it in a way that this tool knows how to read it, but then also have your own standard format. So, and the way that we reiterate, or not reiterate, the way that we iterate them all the time is from feedback by our team. The one item that I am really passionate about is that the outputs have to be concise, because again, people don't read stuff, and the longer your outputs and the more you're requesting from your team, the less effective they are, and the more likely they are to just skip it entirely. So we go through these over and over, and you know, there are certain things that we say, like you want to limit the amount that it can output. In a lot of cases, sometimes maybe you wouldn't care, but normally we want to limit what it outputs and tell it very specifically, this is the thing, this is your job, this is your input, and then very specifically, this is the output that I want, and this is the format that I need it in.
Thank you, Jay and Joel. I know we're very used to like talking in general sentence. So going back to a structure and being super specific, it's definitely a process. Nick?
Yeah, Joel, super interesting. Thanks for sharing. Maybe like one thing we try to be transparent about is that it's quite difficult to get some of these agents working on first go. So like maybe talk about like from ideation on like you have this problem to how long it took you, how many iterations, because these agents aren't perfect. They do require some handholding to get it into a state where it does work. So maybe like just talk us through your process on how you got it to that state and over how many iterations.
Yeah, to know the actual number, I definitely have to go back to the audit list. Let's not do that because that might make me cry a little bit. But so our normal process is that we have what I lovingly refer to as my dream board, which is where we keep all of our ideas for new agents. And my AI team goes through those about weekly and decides what we're going to do with things like, are we going to defer that? Is that like super important and valuable to us? So when something makes it onto the to-do list, we go through and just flesh out the concept of what we're trying to accomplish, and then put that into, we're currently using Claude, but you know, that could change anytime, and have it write the first set of instructions. That process usually takes, it depends on how complicated it is, so I shouldn't attach a time to it, but there's definitely back and forth, like here's where I'm trying to, I always specify that I'm going to be using Neo Agent for this, and here's what I'm trying to accomplish, make sure that it has my style guide, so that we can get all of this in the format that we like it. Then we put it in here, create this, write all the tools, and then test it manually against tickets or whatever the case may be. That can go anywhere from 1 or 2 iterations. This one was actually fairly quick. It did a great job right off the bat, but we have definitely had some where it has been a little bit of a struggle to get the exact output. Sometimes it's just that Neo like has a very specific thing that it wants to do, and you have to figure out how to word it to get past that. I think some of the new items in here, some of the new features that Neo Agent has added in here are going to help with that a lot. But the other ones where we do run into issues is when we're connecting to third-party services, like if we're trying to hit an API. I don't want to call Pax8 out, but they can be a little problematic and you get weird results from them. So those, and then it's hard to know, did Neo have a problem? Did we just get bad data back, et cetera? So those can take a little bit of time, but usually when we test them manually, that only takes a few rounds to get it to a point where we feel pretty good about it. And then like this one, I go live with that, and then we keep a very close eye on it at the very beginning for the first couple of days at least, and look at not every single one of them because there's quite a few. You'd see there's a few thousand in here right now, but for this one. So we're definitely not looking at all of them, but we spot check them very heavily to make sure that we feel comfortable with it. And then also if there's another team that it directly affects, like in this case, the managers who are supposed to be looking at it, we solicit their feedback at the very beginning. and just make sure that they're comfortable with what's coming out. They're not getting blown up. They think that the results are relevant to them, et cetera. And using that feedback, then we'll go through this again. So I don't know if that's specific enough. I hesitate to put a number on it because some of them are so simple, it's not that bad, but some of them, my enrichment agent, I iterate it weekly just to improve on it. So
that's awesome.
Thank you. Awesome. I did see a comment from Ricky that said that he's using also the Neo support bot to work through custom instructions. So he has found that to be successful as well, to kind of like do the prompt check, and then it will give you kind of feedback. There are a couple questions that I'll come back on the chat just to make sure that we are keeping things moving. Ryan, are you ready, buddy?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, go for it.
So just for some context, I am sitting on my floor next to my server rack, hardwired in through a dongle and a USB A to C converter. So if you want to donate one of your NOC people to troubleshoot to Unify APs, send them my way so I can leave my utility room. But I'm going to share my screen. So one feature that we released out a little while ago was the chat agents. I've written out kind of my ideal internal sidekick for your technicians chat agent here. So I'm going to show it off a bit. So if you don't know chat agents, like I said, we just released them. They're set up almost exactly like an agent, like a normal workflow agent, where all it is a tool, like a custom instruction and a tool set. There's two things here. You can have it internal for just your technicians, or there's an end user facing one where your end users or like your client's end users are messaging the bot. I'm going to show you the internal one. It's a bit of a weird one where like when you're building out agents normally, like I always recommend that you're doing like highly specialized agents. So one that does onboarding, one that does mailboxes, one that does server things. But with a chat agent, you kind of want it to do everything because you want it to do whatever your technicians want to do. And I'll share this prompt after. There's two versions of it. I only like working with AI when it's extremely like sarcastic and passive aggressive. So a cool thing with Neo is you can give it whatever personality you want. So I have told it in here that it pretty much has the personality of a disgruntled pizza delivery driver and to be super passive aggressive. The only time it's not sarcastic and passive aggressive is if it's ever replying to a client. It will be nice and polite. But some things in here that I like, that I put in here is like work in silence. So it doesn't tell me every single step it's doing. It just puts me out the final result of what I queried. It always ends its replies with a number of next moves. So if I ask it to pull a ticket, it's going to look at the context of that ticket and then give me like 3 things that it thinks I'm going to want to do next, presents it to me. So when I message it, I just say like do number 2 or do number 3. And after that, it's just really things of how to search up a few things, where documentation stored for us, and then things it can't do. And then under here, I've just given it a bunch of tools for what I have set up. So it can, I pretty much just clicked help desk for 365. So it's still going to ask approval for things, but it can pretty much do everything that I have hooked into my test organization. So what that looks like in Teams is, hopefully you can see this Teams chat here. If you can't, tell me. But I can kind of query anything here. So I can say like, how many licenses are available in Ryan Company, which is my test Microsoft account. And it will just instantly go out and start querying them. Well, that's running. We'll look at like some of these, like just to show some examples. Or it's going now, it's listing. But like if I ask it here, like pull a ticket for me. Here, what's the newest ticket that came in? It's sarcastic, so it says your newest disaster in the queue is, and then tells me about it. And then it says like, what do you want me to do with this information? So down here, it says, good news for once, something isn't on fire. It's just underused or paid for, like half of IT tooling. So it's pulled out the licensing I've available in my tenant. And then down here at the bottom, right, I don't want it to like assume and start doing things that I didn't ask it to. So it just asks me. So it says, what would you like me to do? Check if a specific user has a license, list current ones, list all licensing for tenants, or I can just tell it something else. So I can say like, create a new user in Ryan Company called Joel Hansen. Use the normal like naming convention for email. And then I'm going to tell it no license, no groups. And then now it's just going to go out and start doing that. It's most likely going to ask me for approval because I have the approval tool turned on for this one, I'm pretty sure. But what I really like about this is it's kind of like a technician sidekick. I don't want to call it co-pilot, but my goal with this prompt and this agent I built was, what if my technicians never had to leave the PSA or leave Teams, and they're just kind of reading a ticket and then going into Teams and being like, go pull this document for IT glue, or do we have a process for this? Things like that. And then just go back and forth and work the ticket conversationally with the chatbot rather than them having to solve it all themselves. Any questions on this?
I have questions.
Yeah, go for it.
Go for it.
I do. Can I go? Yeah, I have a quick question for the technician in loop approval. Let's say you have this configured even through the chat. So right now, if that approval process, normally it's everybody that has a technician in loop approval set up in the either chat agent or the normal chat. Is there a way to, I would say, pinpoint to the assigned technician for that ticket to only receive this?
Yes, in both cases. So when I go to approvals, right, here's my technician in the loop. If I add everybody here, so everybody in Neo is on this, and this applies for both chat agents and normal agents. By default, Neo is going to want to ask everybody here for approval.
Yeah.
But if I only wanted to ask one of these people, in my custom instructions, I can just write, when seeking approval, only ask the assigned resource, right? So that means whoever the ticket owner is, we're just bugging them for the approval.
Okay.
And I like it that way because I feel like, yeah, if you're assigned to the ticket, you kind of own it. So you own the approvals for Neo. Like Lewis, actually, they don't own this part because they have no context. So you can do it there. You just do it in this part.
Oh, and
so
then
in
it's
my
going to
case,
be the same thing. It's going to be the same thing for the chat. So you just had the instructions saying that it did only the person that is chatting with the agent, for instance, or something like this. Okay.
Exactly.
Thanks.
Because really here, I just have like, I can approve a new user, right? It's part of my job, but I just want that approval step just so I can get this to just double check that it's doing what I wanted it to. So that like it got the right name, which aligns to somebody else that was in there. And then when I go, cool, approve, and it keeps it all in the same chat. And now it's going to continue. It's going to go create and submit me back the result. Maria, you were going to ask a question.
Yeah, I know a lot of people want to know how you got started with the idea. I know, again, this goes back to custom instructions. Any recommendations of how you decided, like, first the prompt and also the skills to make sure that you're not matching anything?
Skill-wise, it was just what I wanted it to do. So I was just like, I love these presets for like read-only, help desk, IT admin, full automation. It is so easy to set up tools because it's like, what do I want it to do PSA wise? I can just click help desk and it picks a set that 9 times out of 10 aligns with what I'm doing. The only times I'll change it is like, I'll throw approvals on a few of the right things. But the help desk preset is, I believe it's on every tool we have. I don't have all our tools connected, but I use that for tools and just give it a quick read over. For prompting, I use the support chat to do all my prompts or this prompt wizard. And then I start it. It's like, this is especially true for chat agents. I start with a basic prompt and then I save and then I start chatting to that bot and I start asking it questions. And when it does, if I'm like, oh, this is cool, but it would be better if it did this, like the numbering of what to do next. I was like, that's what I really want to see here. So I go back to the support agent and I say, on my most recent chat, like it gave me a great answer, but I want it to give me 3 follow-up questions of things to do. And then it will update these instructions for me and save. And the very next message I send to the agent or to the chatbot is applying my new instructions. So I built this whole thing out in maybe 20 minutes, just trial and error of just like, oh man, that was really good, but now it's too wordy. So then I'd go back to the support agent, like, I don't want to read a novel, or I want it more sarcastic, or make it sound like it's miserable more, because I don't know. My Claude has the same personality, where it's the most passive aggressive thing, and it makes fun of me nonstop, and I love it. But I'll share out this prompt so everyone can have it. I'll put it in Discord, or if you email me, I can give it to you.
So pretty much you build kind of like the basic, you went to the chat support and started having the conversation with the chat support and automatically updated everything. And you kind of verify while you were talking to the chat support agent.
Exactly. I'm like a very, I don't know, I'd say like inefficient automation builder where I like doing everything one step at a time and just like multiple revisions to fine tune it exactly what I want rather than trying to get everything. This one's a bit of a hard one too, because it's a prompt that does everything. So it's not like I can tell it to follow, like I can tell it to go and find an onboard process and follow it. But how do I have it kind of know how to do everything? Luckily, like that agent itself in the backend knows how like MSP processes work. So it knows where to like find a license, what a license is free from Microsoft, to like the flow free licenses, and it just excludes those. But it's pretty simple to set up. I just do multiple versions.
There is another question in the chat. If techs use the chat bot to make Microsoft changes, how is that log in the Microsoft audit log? Is it useful to be able to see who's making what changes, especially if anything nefarious is going on? Would we lose the ability to see who's prompting the chat bot to make changes?
So in that case, right, when I go to companies here, I had to authorize this Ryan's company with the user. So I did that as my user, because obviously it's my tenant. So whenever in the audit log, it's always going to show that I made the change. What you can do is create like a dedicated Neo user, or like if you're using GDAP, the same thing, have a Neo API account in Microsoft. And then everything in the audit log will show as Neo Agent API. And then okay, something from Neo Agent did this. And then the next step to that is having approvals on Microsoft. So if I went into my chat and I said, I can give it like very specific approval instructions too, right? So I can say, if any Microsoft action for the tenant, and then like Ryan company, like pretend this is your MSP's company, for example, always ask approval from Maria. With this instruction, anytime that Neo does anything in Microsoft for this company, it's going to ask Maria for approval, regardless of who, unless it was Maria who queried it. But regardless of who queried it, it's always going to ask Maria, so you can keep up that way. We keep logs of like all the chat histories, all the messages. So if I was still past this point and I was like, I need to know who made this change, I can query the Neo support bot and said, and ask it who made the change on Microsoft, like this audit log, give it the screenshot. It will go through the chats and tell you the exact technician that did it.
Thank you, Ryan. I know we're a little bit running out of time. So thank you, Ryan, for the presentation. I wanted to make sure that we give enough time to TJ. TJ, are you ready?
Born ready.
Okay.
Right. I'm just going to skip through this really quickly. So let's present in Teams if it lets me. Hopefully. There you go. So I had a pre-prep deck because I had to set this early to a different customer base. Hopefully you can all see the deck. Marie asked me to walk through some of the challenges we had, right? And rather than talking through one agent, I just would talk overall challenges. But this is what we have live in our estate now. We have triage, dispatch, suggested resolution, sentiment analysis. We have SLA management, which is a beautifully text HTML email that sends out to everybody that's got an SLA that's about to breach. We have QA analysis on every single ticket. I love SOP creation because engineers hate writing documents. So there's a monthly or weekly SOP creation agent. We use it to manage our RFCs before a change manager sees it. It checks approvals with engineers to make sure that everything's had a 4-eyes check. It writes up our MIRs. It starts doing documentation on JML, and we've given our first line service desk the name Elody. Bit of social engineering there, I think it's called, to make sure people don't get angry with it. So I got all that regular stuff done, and it was quite quick and easy. And then we thought about the challenge, which was how do we implement a level 0 or level 1 first line service desk? And actually me and Nico went for a coffee, and I was like, how am I going to do this? I don't understand how to get it done without, like, it's too complex. And the idea was that you give one agent one job. You have every agent has a single task, and then that way you don't overcomplicate your agents. And if it fails and if there's a challenge, you can easily find it. Elody is probably on about revision 250 at the minute, so I've revised that. So one agent, one job. We churn it through. What we did was we created Elody, which is a front door, and this was a really important step for us, which was bringing it in, and it's part of the business side of introducing AI agents into business, is that you have to speak to a customer and go, hey, I want to do this. And that first layer of building a larger sort of automated desk is the front door, which is Elody. And what we did is she does for us, and I say she because I'm tricked by my own words, is that she checks a ticket. If it doesn't have the right information, she converses back. She suggests simple fixes, and then if she can't fix it, and this is only at this layer, if she can't fix it, but she knows what the problem is, she gets the information for the engineer. So when the engineer gets a ticket, they're able to fix it. So gives you straight away out the door improvements. What we found actually is brilliant for places that are going into hypercare. We had a client that went into massive hypercare, big migration, and we were getting flooded with tickets because people were just going, oh, this is broken. We needed 5 bits of information. We put Elody at the front door saying, don't let anything, bit like Gandalf, right? Shall not pass. Don't let anything through until we have these 5 bits of information. And she kept on firing tickets back, going, right, brilliant. Thank you very much for that. I know you've got a problem, but I need this information before I can pass it on. And that gave everybody later on in the, and this was by accident, right? We didn't plan it to do this. Everybody later on got a bit of room to be able to fix your tickets. And those tickets where things got fixed straight away, people went, oh no, it's fixed now, don't worry about it. So what was started as 100 tickets a day from a single client, or like 300 tickets a day, went down like 80%. So that was Elody, the front door, and then where do you go from there? Every agent has a name. I like naming them because I think it's cool. But we gave them names and to tasks as well. So at the minute we're rolling out, just adding stuff to distribution groups. And once you've got that front door in, once that automation's there and the customer's familiar with that level of automation and how it's helping them and how people aren't complaining, opening the door to get automation in somewhere else is much easier. If I were to go to a client and say, well, actually, I just want to automate your, adding to SharePoint, adding to distribution groups, etc., it would be a task like what's going on. But if I give them a front door and then slide the rest in when they're happy because it's the same technology, I found it a lot easier to implement. Now, this isn't the tech side, it's more the business side, but that's it. Once you start getting these in, you know where the problems are. One challenge I found, which I wanted to share, was how do I get that ticket to the right agent? What if it goes back to the user and says, hey, can you provide this information? When that ticket comes back, I don't want to burn credits on each one of those agents reviewing it. What I need is the right agent to review it. And what we did in ConnectWise was we created a field, and the agent that's sitting on that ticket, or it owns that ticket, because we've only got one, name in ConnectWise for Neo, or one account. The agent that's sitting on that ticket has, or whenever Elody assigns it to an agent, she puts the agent name in there. So if a ticket comes back and it's owned by Neo, the agents look at it, but only the appropriate agent takes action. Therefore, I'm not burning, credits for every agent looking at every ticket. I'm only putting the right one in, and that was a bit of a mind boggle for us just to get that up and running. So yeah, that's working. It's efficient. It doesn't lose tickets. We went through several iterations of stuff firing. Like Nikhil said, you have to keep on churning it through until you get it, monitoring it over days. And now we're at a position where it's just running a few thousand users minimum, and doing all their zero line and first line and some of their automation. And finally, this is what we've got. We actually have got operational efficiency. It does help us out. We haven't had to put loads of L1 on that desk during migration. The suggested resolution that Elody does as well as standard has been really good, and we have had notable feedback improvement. So yeah, they are happy with their AI and their experience. And yeah, questions?
DJ, I got one for you. That's a clever trick you did. Did you create a custom UDF in ConnectWise, and then each agent who's working on it inputs a text and with their name, so we know that Relay or Echo has got this?
Yes, so that's exactly how we did it. Echo, they're all based off Elody's code, because Elody works really well, the prompt. So they're all based off Elody's prompt. Therefore, they have the same handoffs, pickups, so they don't drop the ball. And every time I update Elody with the change, they all get updated. So they all run off the same code, or the same sort of backbone or framework for handing off and moving forward.
That's
and
cool.
It saves
it's
me
kind
loads
of like
of credit,
a proxy
right?
field.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a proxy field to resource. It's just like agent resource, I guess, in a custom. Yeah, that's clever.
So yeah, that's the way it works, and it works, right? It's live at clients. It's not vaporware. It's in there. It's making change. So it's saving some bacon on my side, or vegetarian equivalent.
Thank you so much, TJ. I know we have a couple more minutes. Anything that you guys, I see a lot of movement on the chat and I've been taking notes. Any questions for any of us here at Neo, or any of the presenter, or anything that you guys want to bring up that you want to see with Neo? Definitely we want to make sure that Nick that's here that can answer any questions. We're all users as well, Orion or myself. Anything, just ask. That's pretty much it. Go for it, Joe.
I was just going to say thanks, TJ. That's a great idea, because I obviously, Buddy, I use Buddy as for mine, but I wanted an alter ego for Buddy for doing different things. So I had the idea of out of hours being almost a different person, but the same problem as you only have one agent technically connected into our Halo PSA. So actually having a custom field that I can just flip means that I can actually do it. So just want to say that was a great idea. Thank you very much. That was good.
I'm not going to take the credit. I think it was Claude that told me to do it.
Not Neo.
Unfortunately, not yet.
One day.
Any MCP integrations natively on the roadmap? That's Steve is asking that.
We are launching support for MCPs. Steve, is there any specific MCP that you would want to connect Neo to that would just help unlock a major use case for you?
I could have swore I saw the other day, and I haven't looked into it, but I think Datto has an MCP server you can use.
Yes, So like a few vendors do Datto, Paxo even have an MCP. The challenge with some MCP servers is they don't expose all of the things that you can do through the API. So the MCP might expose, like say, 50% of the stuff you can do through versus what you can do through the API. So we always, when we integrate Neo natively into a tool, we always wrap around the APIs as best as possible, because then that allows us to do everything. We'll release support for MCP so that if there is a tool that Neo doesn't integrate with today, you can hook it up and it can do some stuff. Usually we prefer to just natively integrate with as many tools as possible, because then that gives you the ability to get Neo to do many more things via the underlying APIs.
Thank you, Nick. Any plan for customer-facing forms instead of creating how we own forms from Microsoft Forms? Sorry, it was a Mark. I think that's your question. Sorry.
Yeah, correct. So yeah, sorry. I read it. I write it fast. So because right now we're leveraging Microsoft Forms for our customers in order to get, I would say, new user creation and things like that, either from their own tenants or from our own tenant. And then we're sending it back to our PSA, and then Neo kicks in and does the job. So some other product out there that we've leveraged in the past had these forms. I know that Ryan was working on the chatbot for the customer, I would say, facing kind of approach, but having the proper information, I would say garbage in, garbage out. So if you have all the proper details for user onboarding, offboardings, date, times, all that missing information, for sure you could leverage Neo to kick back if information is missing, sending back notes to the customer. We've tried that approach, but the best approach is always to get the proper details first. So chatbot is very interesting, but also forms that we could leverage would be also greatly appreciated. So
we have, I don't know, Mark, if you've seen the new intents feature. The intents are like not quite a form, but they are a way to get agents in Neo to collect all of the relevant information you would need for a specific type of request. So let's say for a user onboarding request, you always need first name, last name, the mailbox name, the license. Like, let's say you need a bunch of information. We don't allow you to create a form today, but we allow you to create something called an intent. And that is a repeatable thing that agents can use to always ask for the relevant bits of information. And I'm just wondering, actually, whether I can just show you this, which might help. I think, Mark, have you managed to see intents on the platform? Or not yet? Okay, let me share my screen.
Yeah, someone is talking about forms in PSA. I guess maybe it's something in ConnectWise, but in Autotask, you don't have that feature or capability that I'm aware of.
Yeah. So what you can do, this is kind of like, this is not exactly a form, but it definitely solves the problem of making sure an agent has all the information it needs before kicking off a task. So let's say like this is, we want to create a new, an intent for a new starter. And this is for, onboarding a new employee. And then these are like all the questions that like when we're dealing with this type of request, all the questions we should ask. And then we can make this available to all agents. So all agents have access to this intent. So the next time any agent sees a request that relates to onboarding an employee, it always makes sure these questions are answered before it can do anything.
Cool. Okay.
And that it's kind of like it's not exactly a form, but
it's even better. So you could tie it to, sorry, I'm cutting you off, but you could tie it to a chat agent that you could put in Teams inside the tenant of your client. And from there, you could only specify these people have access to the chat agent. You could add the
Exactly.
intent and you have all the details, and then you could kick off everything else. But again, this won't, or could you ask Neo to still create a ticket so you have a trace in your PSA?
Absolutely. So like when you create this intent, this just sits as an intent that's available to all, in this case, chat agents, but the chat itself can create, the chat agent that you create can create tickets, do everything else, but it has access to this intent. So it's able to recognize that if this is, if it receives a request for a new starter, it has to make sure that all of these questions are answered before it can continue.
Okay, well then the next thing that could be easy for you is to have that chat agent available on the web version for our customers instead of creating a form. So if we could leverage or dispatch this to a link from the Neo agent dashboard, that would be awesome, because adding it to Teams and everything, so it might be easier if people are just, I would say, sharing that link. But that could be a possibility. So if you could leverage the existing GDAP integration and the direct account. So okay, so fair enough. So that's a good point, Nikhil. Yeah, I like that option.
Thank you for the question, Mark. I know we're a little bit past our time. Any other question, anything else before we kind of say goodbye and connect again in a month? Okay, perfect, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining our first session. Next month, I hope we have some videos and music to keep you in the lobby. And then anyone that wants to demo, definitely reach out to me. I'm going to be reaching out to everybody. I know everybody that's been working and kind of like handling Neo. So if you want to volunteer, spots are always available for you guys to kind of like demo anything that you want. And we use on the Neo side as well this time to kind of like feature different areas of the product, just like we did today with intent, today with chat agents. So, and ask away. That's why Nick is here. Ask all the things that you want on the chat so we can send them to product. Keep us posted. The other last thing that I'm going to say, anything that you haven't voted on feature base, meaning to log your requests or integrations or features, please do so. We definitely use that very heavily internally to make sure what customers need, what customers want. So thank you everybody for joining. Thank you, DJ. Thank you, Joel, for presenting. And thank you, Ryan. Nick, awesome. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you next month.